Hello, my name is Dawson Hatfield, and today I'm here with John Hess. This is my podcast called the Idaho Foodbank and its impact on our culture and society. So first, John, tell me a little bit about yourself. What's your role in the Idaho Foodbank and how did your journey begin?
Sure. Dawson, thanks for coming by.
Yeah, of
really
course.
appreciate it. I came to the food bank a year ago as their development manager. My background really for the last 25 years or so has been in public media. I started in Iowa running stations for public radio, and then came to Boise in 2005 to run the Boise State Public Radio.
Oh, cool.
I was there for 10 years and then went to Tucson to run Arizona Public Media, and then just recently my last role was in Milwaukee at Milwaukee Public Media, and I left there in 2002 in the summer. Came back here to Boise because we always loved this place.
Yeah,
we really wanted to retire here and stay here, and I wasn't quite ready to hang it all up, so I found a role here at the food bank, and it's been great.
That's great. Okay, let's dive into the first question. What's the main purpose of the Idaho Food Bank and how does it benefit society as a whole?
Well, I think the main purpose of the Idaho Food Bank really, our mission is to end hunger in Idaho. Obviously we serve our neighbors with food and healthy, nutritious food. We serve over 220,000 people every month. 67,000 of those are kids, 44,000 of them are seniors. But we really help people with food insecurity issues initially to get them from sort of maybe a gap in their budget, where we always say that rent eats first. So, if you're strapped for money, you might say, okay, I've got to pay my rent, I've got to pay my utilities, I've got to pay whatever, my credit cards, whatever it is. And food always takes a lower role there because you can stretch or shrink your food budget every month. And what the food bank does provide to folks is a way to sort of supplement their food budgets every month, so they can, if they've got a car payment or a medical bill, or maybe there's an emergency that came up that drained some of their finances, this can help them get from one place to another. The average neighbor who uses our services use it for about 4 months, and then they move off it, and then they might come back in a year or two, but for the most part, for a period of time, a consecutive period of time, is about 4 months.
So almost like a kickstart, just to just to get them rolling.
Yeah, in many ways, and once again, we serve a lot of families, so it is important for us to make sure that kids get fed, especially because if you're not eating or if you're not getting adequate amounts of food, you're probably not learning very well in school.
Definitely.
And your developmental, physical developmental issues get to be a problem that way.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that families are having adequate amounts of food for themselves, but also for their kids. Same thing with seniors. We're seeing a high influx of seniors come into our state from other states. They're on a fixed income, and here in Idaho recently we've seen a huge increase both in inflation from food but inflation from housing. And so many of those things are affecting seniors.
Yeah, definitely.
And they come to the food bank or take advantage of our CSFP program, and it helps to supplement their incomes.
Yeah. So speaking of the seniors, let's talk a little bit about the elderly community in Idaho. So I was looking at your website and it said that 48,514 seniors are served monthly, with 25,627 of the CSFP boxes distributed.
Yeah.
So I noticed you talked on the website a lot about the nutrition and how it's a priority at the Idaho Food Bank. So what typically comes in these boxes and how does this help improve the nutrition of seniors?
Well, really what comes in the boxes is usually some form of protein. That can be either, and once again, because these are shelf stable, so we can't do any real fresh meats or anything like that. So we have some kind of protein that can be either through lentils or hummus or some kind of a high protein canned food. So we usually do 2 of those. We do usually some starch, like some pastas, things like that. Then there's canned vegetables that go in there as well. So the CSFP boxes we give out to seniors 1 box per month. So it's not meant to totally supplement their food budget. but it's enough to have some healthy food on board.
Yeah.
So that once again, they're not sort of, for one thing, cutting back on their meals, or just depending on something that's inexpensive but not very nutritious.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. I love that you guys do that, and that's definitely very helpful. Let's talk a little bit about the backpack system.
Sure.
So I was looking at your website, and according to it, this system has helped 2,172 kids with 167 participating schools. There's been 63,903 backpacks distributed, and it helps kids who are chronically hungry. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the COVID-19 pandemic and how the backpack system was affected by this, because obviously kids weren't in school, so they couldn't receive their backpacks at school. So I just want to know how you guys were able to adapt to the circumstances of the pandemic.
Well, I wasn't here during COVID-19, so I can't really speak to
Okay.
exactly how they did it. But I can tell you that we relied on our partners then quite a bit. So we have 440. We're all 44 counties. We have over 440 partners that we work with in all those counties. So we would partner with those one of those folks or many of those folks in the county, and they would then distribute the backpack food that way. Or in some cases, a child who normally would get the backpack on a Friday, we might be told that this is what's going to happen. Teachers would then go out and do it themselves.
Yeah.
They would just deliver it to the families.
Which that's great. Does that do the backpacks contain similar things to the CSFP boxes, just in smaller portions?
Actually, the backpacks are interesting because they're usually very smaller portions. They're all pop top, or easy open, because for kids, many of those kids on the weekends, their parents are working, so they're feeding themselves. So we try to make them microwavable too, so they're not really at a stove and doing things like that. Right? And so that's kind of what we're looking at for that. And we also try to put some other things in, like Cliff Bars and other kinds of treats for kids, Go-Go Squeeze, things like that kids might like, that they can easily open and just have for lunch. What we found with the backpacks too is that if a child goes home with the backpack on Friday, it's not just for them; it's usually for their entire family, or at least a lot of the kids are taking advantage of that too. So we want to make sure that there's enough food for at least one child for 2 meals a day for 2 days.
Yes,
that's kind of how we look at it. And many of those kids stretch that food both for their siblings, or also stretch it so that even their parents can have some of it.
Which that's great. What are some of the biggest challenges that the food bank faces?
Well, I think some of the biggest challenges we face are, one is that food insecurity here in Idaho at least is not decreasing. So we're not seeing the pre-pandemic levels. We're not, during pandemic, everything jumped up quite a bit, but we're not going back to pre-pandemic levels. And so that's one of the biggest challenges, is that food insecurity continues to be an issue here in Idaho, as I mentioned, due to inflation, due to housing, due to a lot of things around transportation as well. So that's continuing to be a challenge for us. I think also, as we move from just feeding people to really helping them understand how living a healthier lifestyle, eating healthy, exercise, proper maintenance of their weight, and proper maintenance of their other medical conditions. We're trying to educate our neighbors a little bit too, so that we're not just helping them feed themselves, we're actually helping them have a healthier lifestyle and live a healthier lifestyle, so that they can have greater longevity. They can also enjoy their lives more, because they're more active and things like that.
Definitely, and that will definitely allow for a better lifestyle, for sure. Okay, my last question is, financially, the Idaho Food Bank is nonprofit, so how do you guys stay open, and how can the citizens of Idaho help to contribute? For example, charity, donations, events, volunteering. So how can we as citizens of Idaho help the Idaho Food Bank?
Well, we do all of those. So let me first say that for all the money we raise, 94% of it goes back to the program. So, this year with food and everything, we're close to a $60 million organization.
Wow.
Food rescue takes up a huge part of that, about $50 million
Yeah.
every year in food rescue. But we raise on our own, we raise from just donors about $10 million.
Wow.
A little over $10 million last year. And so if you want to donate to the Idaho Food Bank, we're a 501c3 nonprofit, your donation is tax deductible. You can do it on a monthly basis if you want. You can also make a one-time donation, or how many donations you want to make throughout the year. We have several events that we hold this fall. It's called A Seat at the Table. And A Seat at the Table is going to be in all 3 of our markets this year. So we have one in Pocatello and Idaho Falls. We have one in Lewiston. We also have one in here in Meridian. And that gala helps us raise money, obviously, to help supplement our other programs that we have as well. We also have separate campaigns for the backpack program, for back to school, which is not only just backpack, but it's also our school pantries.
Yes.
A lot of our partners have opened up school pantries in schools. It's easy for parents to come, drop their kids off, go to the pantry, then pick up food and do what they need to do there. We also have mobile pantries, which means that we bring the food to you, which means we might set up in a church parking lot, we might set up in a senior center parking lot, somewhere, especially in rural Idaho, where it's not that easy to go to a school, for instance, or to go to some other building or some other organization. So we bring the food to them as well.
Yeah.
So we have lots of different programs that if you give your support to the Idaho Food Bank, we can make it happen in a very, very judicious way. You know, when we get every $5 we raise, we can create 3 meals, up to 3 meals with that $5. So we have a huge amount of buying power too through our partners, and that way we can leverage that donation and really make it stretch a long ways.
Yeah. And the last thing I just wanted to say was, first of all, thank you for all you do, and thank you for all the Food Bank does. I know it's amazing. And then I highly encourage the listeners to volunteer. It's really fun. A few months ago, I volunteered and helped put together backpacks for the backpack system. It was great. We got to listen to music. I got to be there with my friends. It's just an overall great experience, and it's a great chance to get to help your community.
I would agree. I would agree.
Okay. Thank you for meeting with me. I really
Awesome.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.